should be doing multiple deals each month. But what I was able to pin is the follow-ups and the leads that were going in the pipeline weren't actual leads. Like, I'm like, what's the opportunity? There is no opportunity. Like, oh, they want max market value. The home's in great shape. There's no pain to sell the house, and it's not distressed. So why do, like, where's the opportunity? Like, why do you think this is worth pursuing? And then, I'd ask them, oh, I don't know. I really don't know. So the biggest thing when it comes to the leads that we put in the pipeline, you want to really ask yourself these questions. One is, what do I believe the opportunity is? Right, so if I do an initial phone call, I'm going to do some examples for you guys too and break down the call. But when I'm on the phone with these people and I wrap the first initial phone call up, ripped them on Zillow, got all the info, okay, great, I'll get back to you. I'm always wanting to ask myself, what do I believe the opportunity is? Do I believe it's a wholesale, creative finance, novation, listing program? What is the opportunity? And I need to also be able to answer, why do I believe that is an opportunity, right? So I had that initial call. I think it may be a wholesale deal. All right, but why? Why? Answer that question for yourself. Why do I think there's a wholesale deal? Oh, because the house, I think it's a wholesale deal because the house is so beat up and it can't be lived in. I think it's a wholesale deal because they already moved to Texas and the house has been vacant 3 months and the roof's leaking, right? So there's pain, right? So ask yourself every single time, what do I think the opportunity is? And then why? Why do I believe there may be that opportunity there? The next thing you want to ask is when. So like, all right, I believe there's a wholesale opportunity for this reason, but then when is the opportunity? Do I believe this is a deal that could be done today? Or do I believe like, yeah, there's a wholesale opportunity, but it's probably going to be 6 months down the road? And then I have to, again, ask why. I believe there's an opportunity. I believe it's 6 months down the road. Now I have to answer, why do I think that opportunity is down the road instead of today? What you will find is, if you could ask yourself, what is the opportunity? Why is that an opportunity? What time would the deal go down? Is this an opportunity now or later? And why? If you can answer those questions, what I think a lot of you newer guys are going to realize is you're going to come up short with an answer. Yeah, maybe there's a wholesale. Why? And then you're not going to, yeah, I don't know why. They just want to move. They want top dollar. It could be lived in, but it could use some updates. No, there has to be paint attached, or it can't be lived in, or a combination of both, right? So you'll probably, if you ask those questions, you're going to not put junk in the pipeline. You can waste so much time. You could just be spinning your wheels in this wholesale game. Oh yeah, I'm doing 8 hours a day. And that's what those guys were doing. 8 hours a day. I'm doing 3 to 5 leads a day. I'm making multiple offers every day. I'm doing 60 follow-ups every single day. Why don't we have money, Eric? Because you're not putting real opportunity in the pipeline. Just because somebody has their hand up saying, I want to sell my house, that is not an opportunity that goes in the pipeline. Right? So this is really, really big. This is probably one of the biggest mistakes I see wholesalers make. This is stuff nobody really talks on. Any questions with what I've shared so far? Junior? No? Any other questions? All making sense?
Hey, Eric.
Yes.
Hello? Hey,
yeah, here you are.
All right. So you're saying basically it's a beat-up house, or someone that's have some other motivation. Maybe it's not that beat up, but they're out of state, or they need money kind of quick, or is that basically the two types of homes?
Exactly. I mean, the people that are going to take a low cash offer for the property, let me maybe put it this way. If somebody's going to take less than say it's in decent shape, it could be lived in, maybe it could use some updates too. Our cash offer is always going to be lower than the as-is value of a property that is on the border of livable or could be lived in, just needing updates, right? So as-is value for that type of property, always higher than our cash offer. So the only reason that person is going to take our cash offer, because they got pain, like, yo, I need money quick because I got this issue in my life. And then the properties that are super beat up and can't be lived in, those have to sell at a price that makes sense for an investor to scoop them up at. So it's always, like, you're only doing wholesale deals with pain, people in a distressed situation, or the house can only be sold to an investor. It can't be lived in. And then the only deals I've ever done, I can't even think of one that comes to mind, but any deals that you guys might do where maybe there wasn't any pain and the house wasn't beat up, then like the person probably just didn't even know what they had. Like they had no idea what it was actually worth if that's the situation. Every deal I've done, there's paint attached or the house is beat up. Every time, or a combination of a little bit of each.
Would you say a pre-foreclosure pretty much is always a potential lead?
Every time.
Every time, right?
Pain. I'm losing my house.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lose it. That's like one of the best people.
By the way, my area, Bergen County, New Jersey, and Passaic County, New Jersey, has like they put out their lists. So, for example, on their list, they show like who's coming for sale. Let's say the last list I looked at said January 24th and like February 1st and so on and so forth, all the way into April. So if you got a list of that, there's like 50, 60 houses on that list.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Would you be looking at like, for example, I was calling on ones that were the 24th on the 22nd. The phone numbers are disconnected. It seems like people are just giving up and they're gone. But I guess the question is, on those ones that are coming up in a few days, is it a possibility? Because it seems like I can't get in touch with them. Most of the people disappeared at that point.
Now, when you say coming up in a few days, are we talking like the home's getting foreclosed on and going to auction in a couple of days, or?
Yeah, sale date on the list I was looking at was like on January 24th, and I was trying to get in touch with people. Let's say January 21st.
Okay, I'm with you.
Or is that a waste of time in your opinion, or you should like shoot for like a window, like 30 days out or 40 days out?
The longer the better, but I've called people and done deals with people where you're losing your house tomorrow, and I'm going to contract it and wrap it up today. Mm-hmm. My take on that is this: so when it comes to like the foreclosure stuff and the home's set to go to the auction, the closer you get to the auction, the harder it is to deal with these people, because the moment they landed on that pre-foreclosure list pendants list, that becomes public record. All these wholesalers on PropStream, Batch Leads, they're eating those lists up. And so that was 8 months ago. And so from 8 months all the way up until, now, they've been getting freaking hammered with these wholesalers, these lowball offers. And so the most difficult part is, one, getting all on the phone, picking up a random number, because every random number is a lowballer. But then two, being able to get them to be willing to listen. So like they might, oh, you're an investor, I'm not dealing with you, click. And so like a lot of the times with these people where it's like within a month of you losing the house, like I got to come off hot with some big claim, and I might have to like call you 100 times, but something like that. And a big claim being something along the lines of giving a verbal offer at a crazy number to just hook them so they open up to having a combo. They've been lowballed a million times. Oh, you're an investor, what do you want? Yeah, look, I see it's going to the auction. I want to give you an offer if you're open to it. Everybody's been lowballed. Like they'll just start freaking out, some of these people. But if you could bring the big claim, look, man, I guarantee I could probably give you X, and maybe go off this estimate. I guarantee I could pay you $300,000 for it, and this estimate's 3 or whatever. Now that doesn't mean we have to commit to that number. Now they're open to it. Look, let me just ask you a few questions, and yeah, man, there's a real shot we can give you 3. What's the condition? Where's the dad? So look, I couldn't do 3 as a cash deal. For cash, I'm here, but I could do 3 if you're open to getting creative with me. So we ain't lie to these people. We can give them that. It's just not going to be cash. So the biggest thing is within the closer to that date, the harder it is to work with these people. But if you're local, you pull up to these people's homes, the opportunities like through the roof. Like you have a real good shot at doing something, because they're losing the home. Like, dude, you're losing your home next Friday. Let's just do it. I'll work it out. It doesn't have to go like this. And if you do it in person, that will get them back on the phone, or have a combo with you.
Don't show up naked. It doesn't work out too well.
I feel like that came from experience.
Depends who you are, I guess.
So on that topic, Eric.
Yeah.
So usually, if you're doing subject to, you're wanting to generally hold it as a rental.
Right.
So you're coming in saying, hey, I can offer you this. Do you offer to let them stay and keep it, live in it as a rental, or how do you approach, that conversation?
I mean, ideally, we want them out of the house You know, we want them gone. I've done unique things where you try to do lease backs and stuff like that with people. The biggest thing is if they're not paying the mortgage, they're not going to be paying your rent. So we definitely want these people out. But we could work with them. You know, hey, look, because the thing is this. Check this out. If a house is going to auction tomorrow, I can contract it today, contact the bank, and they will postpone the auction up until my close date. Does that make sense? If it goes to the auction and sells at the auction, the sheriff's coming to the door and ripping you out of the house pretty soon, right? So this is already a better situation, and it allows us to work. Hey, well, how about this? We'll finesse the bank a little bit. We'll put it as for a 90-day close and see if the bank's cool with that. Oh, bank approved 90-day close, perfect. Now you got 90 days to move. You see how that kind of works?
Yes, exactly. I do understand that.
Yeah. All right, we'll keep going here. So, you know, it's all about, again, spotting the opportunity, getting good at that. Where are we at now? All right, so now let's pull up Zillow here. I'm going to share some stuff with you guys. And we're just going to do a little bit of practice, and I'm going to point some stuff out to them. So let's say this browser's got way too many Zillows. Hold on.
Damn, man, putting in work, huh?
Always. This one might be all right. This one's a little rough too, but we'll live with it. All right, so let's jump into my market.
What's up, Eric?
You, Swift Offers. What up, Brian?
What's up?
How are we doing?
Doing good, man. Sending out a novation for Pepper right now.
Let's go.
Yeah. Want to see if you could look over some special tips whenever you get a chance. Just let me know.
Yes, I got you.
All right, cool.
How many deals do we get off of her?
Put an offer in for one. Nick's getting 3 more offers to her, and the investor for one of the properties is the same. So we probably have another novation coming from her too.
Beautiful. Was it the novation? The first one that I pitched?
Yeah, the first one is the one we're writing the contract up for, and then the other 2 are the ones that are pending offers.
Beautiful. Dude,
Is that Pepper from this morning?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Thanks, man. Oh, yeah. All right, so here we go. All right, so let's talk about, like, we're playing the Zillow game, right? We don't know these people's situations, so, you know, who we're going to determine who we're calling on is just based on the photos. It's got to be beat up stuff that can't be lived in, just like we spoke about on the other Zoom, right? So let's circle the market here. Something like that. Loads. And it would just move everybody. Not gonna have any filters on to start. And so actually we will. What I'm gonna start with, guys, is gonna be the for sale by owner. So we see 500 something get populated. For this example, I'll leave off the 1 day. So we got 400 something now. So the biggest thing, again, we don't know these people's situations, so we can only base what we're gonna call on off of the photos. So, you know, this first one here, take a super quick glance. All right, here's maybe not a good example. So this one is livable. We see the kitchen, not really updated. It looks like maybe newer cabinets on the bottom, older on the top. Definitely not up to date, as we can see. This could use a renovation, but somebody could definitely live in this too. So I'm not going to call on this. Somebody could live in this. You know, not worth the time. Now, the other thing, like I was saying the other day, is a lot of the times the description can kind of tell us who they think the buyer is going to be on the deal. So if this description said, hey, a little bit of cleanup, great property for a first-time home buyer, they're not looking for an investor. But if they say investor special, great fix and flip opportunity, great investment opportunity, you know, whatever, they're looking for an investor. So sometimes the description, it lets us know who they think the buyer is on the deal. Who are they trying to find? Right, so this I would not call on. It's in too good a shape. You know, for the sake of time, I would not be opening all these properties up. I would just do the preview. So if we do something like this, real quick, is it beat up? Nope. this. This one's dated but livable, so I'm just gonna keep going. Now, a little tip is once you kind of know your market a little bit, like us down here in Tampa, most of these single families are getting contracted under 350. So I'm gonna do a max price cap at 350, and we see it shaves off a little over 100 results. So we're narrowing down, so we're not having to go through as many, if that makes sense. The other thing too, depending on your market, make sure you only have selected what you're after. So I'm not interested in trailers, apartments, lots, condos, just houses, townhomes, and multifamily. So boom, now look, that only takes it to 97. Now I only got 97 for sale by owners to take a glance at today. That's really it. So nothing so far worth calling on. Take a look at this for 330, livable, not worth calling on. 335, not worth calling on, it's livable. Keep going here. Livable, 204, livable. Trying to find the junk, 325. Let's see. This, I think, is what we're looking for. So let's open this up. Let's analyze it. The paint's coming off the front. There's no soffit on the front. Just exposed brick on the back. Cinder blocks, so the house needs siding or stucco or something. So this thing needs work, so this would be worth calling on. Again, like I said, it's all about speed. How fast can I weigh out opportunity or not? So I'm not going to run the numbers and try and come up with an offer with these people. And that's a huge mistake people make. If you're going and let me run some numbers, see what I can do on this first, you might waste, 20 minutes trying to come up with an offer, then you call them, and what do they say? Oh, we turned down an offer higher than that. Nope, the seller, there's not a shot at doing that. And then you just wasted all that time competent. So I don't want to look at any numbers at all. I'm seeing the house cannot be lived in. I'm just going to call them. And then in the phone call, I will determine if it's worth pursuing or not. Through that phone call and through those questions will give me enough insight to, hey, worth chasing or not. So I'm also going to do this now. Let's pull up the scripts that you guys have in the courses. And I'm literally just going to show you how the script flows, right? So let's go Zillow agent script. Let's put this guy over here.
Hey, Eric, real quick.
Yes.
A question. Would you say that the majority of your deals are off the MLS or off Zillow?
That's an interesting question. For the first, first 6-7 years on market wholesaling, that didn't exist, did not exist whatsoever. And so I was only doing off market. Then when on market became a thing, I started doing that. And then I just always done both. So I've always been a paid data with the free stuff, with the free strategies. But, what I would also say too is if somebody's a one-man band and you're not looking to build a company per se, then you could just graduate into full-time data. If you don't want to have to deal with the on market and still be able to do multiple deals.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I've done both. Off market's always going to be best. Paid marketing always going to be better than on marketing, right?
Unless you're doing creative,
Even then, though, every creative finance deal I've ever done was off market. It
was?
Off a wholesale list. I never ever went after specifically creative finance deals, not once. My game has always been, I'm going to try and do a wholesale deal. When wholesale doesn't work, I'll offer them creative finance. And so I pull every property on the wall is from data. I pull a list, we'd run a wholesale operation, do our wholesale game. They don't like wholesale, we pitch them on creative, and then the portfolio starts to grow without me having to change my efforts, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
How many buy and holds do you actually have now?
I'm officially cashed out.
Oh, you're done. Okay.
About a month and a half ago, I let go of everything. So the past 2.5 years, little by little, hey, I'll let go of that. Hey, I'll let go of that. And then maybe halfway through last year, I just decided I'm going to cash out of everything and start fresh. So I'm officially done, man. I'm looking to buy now. That's okay. Yeah, ideally multifamily if you guys are going to send me deals, though. Unless it's a creative finance deal with little down, I'll still do a single if that's
the case. That from out too? That deal is good.
Which one? My commercial?
Yeah.
I'm out, dude.
Bro, you check that one.
What I want to do too for you guys, one of these Zooms, I want to just do, if you guys would like, I'd like to do deal breakdown, show you guys how I acquired it, the contract to the T, how the numbers play out, what the lease look like, what the exit look like, just walk you through start to finish of some of these. So this should be, I think it should be pretty cool.
I have a question real quick. Maybe you want to share why you're preferring multifamily right now. I have a good idea of why, but I don't know if maybe some of the newbies understand.
Yeah, so I'll say this, and then we'll make some phone calls. So the single family game's cool. I think one of the biggest things you got to like really think about is kind of like just like your goal. Like, what do you actually want? Do you want 100 billion in real estate? Or are you cool, you know, like, do you want thousands of doors, or are you cool with 20 because that's enough for you to not ever have to work? You know what I mean? So, like, what I would say is everybody should start with singles and small multis, like 4 and under, 5 and under, and single family homes, because you're going to learn the game. You're going to learn what it's like to be a landlord, learn what it's like to manage tenants and people and properties and all that. But what I've realized is the single families, they become very hard to scale past 100 doors unless you go wide. It just makes way more sense to go to multi. You know, I can't expect, I'm not going to get 1,000 doors on singles. It's going to take a lifetime, way too long, right? So if I want to do a bunch of single family deals and build this massive portfolio, well, one single family, that's one deal. A duplex, that's another deal. A triplex, that's another deal. Or I could just do one deal and capture all X amount of units, one shot. Now, the other mindset, too, with the multi over singles is location, right? So, where do I want to go with this? So, if you're like all over the place, even just me, you know, at one given moment, it was, you know, a little over 60 units acquired throughout my journey. But at one given moment, I was always floating in the 30s. That tends to be where I was always averaging at 30-something units at one given time. Which isn't really all that much, but on the management, you know, beyond that point, I could see how it becomes time extensive. So this is the perspective. If I have 30 single family rentals, then I have 30 driveways that got to get plowed. I got 30 lawns that got to cut. I got 30 roofs that could leak. I got 30 different furnaces. And I got 30 different front doors, you know what I mean? So multifamily, I got one roof, I got one parking lot, I got one yard. Everything is here. So, you know, when I had single families, okay, I had properties that are 45 minutes apart. So, you know, my main guy, he's by the bulk of them over here in Allentown, but when something happens to a Pocono house, now Jose's got to go an hour for me just to go make that fix. Or he's telling me, yo, I'm sorry, Eric, I can't get there. I don't have enough time. It's too far. And I'm like, damn, like, you know what I mean? But if everything was tight, he could have just handled it. So it's kind of a little bit of that, keeping it relatively close, but I would say it's more so about, you know, having less to worry about. I got one roof, one parking lot, one lawn to cut, and that I think is a huge part of it. The next aspect that I like to keep in mind is going to be the exit, right? What I find is a lot of the guys with these packages of single families, they struggle to sell them. Because anybody that's going to buy a package of single families most likely is not going to be at the market value because the cash on cash return isn't going to meet that. So, okay, so, you know, you got 50 homes in a package of single families. You're 123 Main Street, you want 205 because the single family's worth 205. I get it. But you want to bundle all these 50 single families up. I can't pay that total number because the cash on cash as an investment doesn't make sense. When you're dealing with multifamily and I'm buying a lot of doors, that is not based off of individual appraisals of the property. That approach is based off of the performance of the property, the income. How does it actually perform? So, okay, even though the product alone, the single family product alone is valued at that, when you bundle it up and try and sell the deal to an investor, the numbers no longer check out. It could appraise for 2, that's single, but in a bundle of a package deal, I'm at 6% cash on cash, and that's terrible. You know, I can't make sense of that. So a lot of these single family guys, they get a little bit trapped, and so they try and do smaller deals. Oh, I got 100 doors. Yeah, I want to do a package of 5. I'll do a package of 3, because you'll still find the newbie guys that'll scoop that up. But the seasoned guys, when you're offering 100 doors, we need a discount. And the guy that's got them, he don't want to give that discount because he knows he could sell them all individually and make way more money. Does that kind of make sense? Is that all? You guys follow me with that? And then the exit, right? If I accumulate 100 properties, I could exit 100 doors in one deal on a multifamily play. If I got 100 single families, then I need to do, maybe I could bundle them up, but it's going to be hard. Or I'm going to have to just do a bunch of micro deals. I'll sell that single and this single and that single. And then before you know it, it's freaking 3 years just for me to unload. You know, so that's kind of you have to think about, what do I want? If your goal is, hey, I just want to be able to have enough money to not have to work, just go the single family route or in small multi. You don't got to go crazy. But if you're going big, you know, start with the singles, get the experience, but then you're definitely going to want to pivot into the multi. So that's really my 2 cents on that. Any questions before we get back to the calls?
No, I appreciate you sharing that. I wanted people to understand that things that I didn't know until way later.
For sure. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Kyle? Anything I'm missing?
You know, the reason that multifamily is more appealing to a long-term buy and hold than single family is because if one person moves out of the house, you're not making anything. But if you've got a multifamily property, if one person moves out, you still got, 2 or 3 others that are still carrying the weight. So your debt service is still being covered. I don't think that a lot of people think about it that way, because I'll be honest with you, I was very intimidated with multifamily properties at first. I was like, unless it was a duplex, but anything that was, double and triple the amount that I normally would pay, I was just scared to close that deal, and I just didn't want to be stuck with it. I was very conservative. But then when I really got stuck with some regular single family properties and no tenants, that's when it really hurt. So, that payment is still due,
Yep.
And then you're trying to figure out how to get yourself out of foreclosure,
Yeah, I'd say that the only thing that would cancel out, like everything you're saying, I 100% agree with. But the only thing that does cancel that out is just having a large package of singles. So when I was floating in the 30s per door, I could have 4 doors vacant, and I'm still positive, portfolio positive, but not single property.
Yeah, my uncle taught me to have each property pay for itself, and that's your goal,
Absolutely.
And he said anything less than that, you start being more risky. And he said then you just got to figure out what your risk tolerance is. If you're willing to be more risky than others, then you're okay with some vacancy here and there. That's why he didn't like the Airbnb model. I mean, and this is the guy who still owns 20, 30 apartment complexes across the country. He does not like the Airbnb model because he's like, it's just not guaranteed. You don't know for sure that it's going to be rented, so.
That's exactly what I was telling Ryan the other day on this Airbnb deal. That's funny.
Yep.
Ryan, I saw you had your hand up. You have something?
Just that novation agreement whenever you get a chance. And also, we just verbally sold another deal.
Here we go. Here we go. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean you're dispoing a deal?
Correct.
Yeah, wholesale the deal.
So buyer. Okay.
Love it. All right, let's guys, I'm going to give you a couple examples of spotting the opportunity. The questions getting asked, and then we'll kind of digest the call, and then we'll determine if it's worth pursuing or not. Let's pull. We just had that one in Tampa, but now we lost it. That's not gonna be it either. Here, we'll just go fresh. We'll go My Backyard, Allentown. All right, so again, basically gen stuff. I'm always going to come in if I'm doing, playing this little game. Come in, circle the market, something like that. Click apply. Remember, I kind of, once you know your market, kind of price cap it so you're not having a ton of results to have to go through. So I'm going to price cap at $250 for this market, and make sure we got all the filters off. We'll do, I'm going to do any just with this example. So So biggest thing, we're just looking for stuff that can't be lived in to start out with. This is on the border, so if I had nothing else to call on, then it's the time to start calling on the stuff that's iffy. Like, could be lived in, but it also needs updates. This one, this is foreclosed. That means it's bank-owned. We're going to stay away from those. We're not going to look to wholesale any bank-owned property. Just going to be a little sketchy if we did something like that.
Almost
Little risk.
impossible.
Huh?
It's almost impossible unless you double close.
Even that, they want you to have it seasoned for 6 months. The only way to do it is you put it in a trust or an LLC, and then you sell the trust or the LLC. But you need, like, you know, real proof of funds, not, you know, real. So you don't commit fraud.
No website generation.
No. It's a huge no. Not with the bank.
That's a no-no everywhere, by the way, for everybody listening.
Yes.
Don't you dare use those stupid fake guru proof of funds.
Well, I'd say, Kyle, the biggest thing with those are technically legal because they're not hard. They're soft proof of funds.
Yeah, it would be better for you just to make a deal with like one of your buyers and say, hey, listen, do me a favor, create a proof of funds for me. Anything I can get, I'll get for you. And if you don't want it, I'll give it to someone else. And it'll just be kind of like a, you know, I'm working for you kind of thing, you know.
Definitely. Yeah, that's another option.
Most of the time, they'll hook you up, especially if they're liquid.
Yeah, I mean, if they want deals, they'll give it to you.
I mean, hell, pre-divorce, I would have done something for somebody like that.
So I really like to try and find something a little more beat up. I'm going to lower this price gap just a little bit.
Go to Montgomery, Alabama. Find me something.
I don't know that market, though.
Oh.
All right. We should, I was just looking this morning. I found a bunch of stuff. Here we go. This should be good.
I don't know the first thing about
All right, this
Pennsylvania.
one's on the border. So if I couldn't find anything that was beat up, then I would start calling on stuff like this. So for the sake of time, let's just call on this one. Then we'll kind of break out the combo here. You guys can see the script on the left. I'll try and just follow it to a T, really.
321 Select Group. This is Marisa. How can I help you?
How's it going? I'm trying to get a hold of Jamie.
Okay. Jamie's out right now showing a house, but she'll be back in a little while. Would you like her voicemail?
Yeah. What's a good cell phone for her? I'll try her later.
Yeah, sure. I'll give you her cell phone. It's 570-470-2746.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Let's see if we can get a hold of Jamie. So yeah, no comps, nothing until we have this combo.
Century 21 Select Group. This is Marie.
Crap, I just did it again. Hold on. Here we go.
Your call has been forwarded to.
Of course. One more time. She might actually be showing that house.
Hello?
Hey, is this Jamie?
Yes, it is.
Hey, Jamie, my name's Eric. I just came across that listing on Patch Lane, the one in Tobyhanna. It's doing good. I just came across the property on Zillow. I want to see if it was still for sale. All right, awesome. Yeah. I'm a buyer. I do a little bit of fix and flips and rentals. This one's, it seems livable, so up in the air with this. I was curious, though, if there's anything wrong with it that I can't see in the photos.
One thing I can tell you is that the ceiling is very black.
Just the ceilings are low? Okay.
Offer that they wouldn't accept. It is a mistake, and obviously it has us to the attorney, but they would not accept it.
Okay. I'm gonna talk to my partner. If he's liking this too, when would we be able to come see it?
If you want, this is my cell phone number. Just text me when you're available, and I can just run down and open up the door for you.
Okay, awesome. I also wanted to ask, what do you think this thing would go for, like all fixed up?
Sold for like $240, and it was very similar in size of lots, bedroom. It depends on the amount of work you can do to it.
Okay, you think that's like realistic?
One kid that's interested, he wants an engineer to come out and look at it because of the ceilings being so low. It's going to need a roof.
Engineer. How low are the ceilings? What are they? 7.5, 8? Lower? Oh wow. Yeah, it looked a little bigger on the preview. All right, yes, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, erase all that. That's crazy. That wouldn't make sense. Yeah. So I mean, with you still think 2 ARV with these low ceilings?
Yeah, to come see it, because if that's what you do for a living, I would tell you to come see it. I do have a young kid that already called someone to come out and look at it for him.
Sure, he's not a wholesaler.
No.
No.
No, he's a young kid.
Okay.
I would tell you just to come see it. This is my cell phone number. If you want, just text me, and I will call you back, and I will meet you there at the property and open up the door.
Yeah, let me with these numbers, hold on just 1 second. I want to just let you know where I'm going to be at for a ballpark. 1 second here. So that's it. We got the ARV. If this house was more beat up, then I would ask if she has opinions on reno, but most people probably aren't looking to renovate it, so I'm going to come up with my own. House like this, something like this to update, super little. I don't know, maybe you put in 40, 45, hold it as a rental, maybe flip still. So if we're looking at 240, which could be a stretch, times 0.7, 168. Let's say 45 into it, takes us to 123, 10 grand for us. We want like 110, 115 is where we want to be up. So let's drop it on her now. Ready? Let's get right back into the script. So right here, ready? Right on 9. This is where we're coming in at. Here we go. Let her finish her little yeah. Hey, are you still there? Alrighty. Yeah, for a cash deal, I mean, with those numbers, I'm probably floating between like 110 and 115. Somewhere in there.
And they rejected it. So, like I said, I think that's. I mean, are you in the area or are you far away?
So I live down here in Florida. I'm from the Poconos, though, and so my dad, he would be the one to meet you. This is the first time I'm seeing Patch Lane. Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, do you think I'm maybe, is this a waste of time submitting this, or you think there's a shot?
There could be a shot, but like I said, I would, if you have somebody up in this area that I can meet to let them in for you, I would tell you to have them come look at it just to confirm, like, the ceilings and all that, and that it's, going to be workable for you.
Yeah, we do tear downs, we do new builds. I would definitely, he's going to go see it before we contract anything. The biggest thing is he's in Broadensville, so he's definitely not going to make a 45-minute trip unless we know there's something here. So, I mean, I would say go back, see if the seller's open to the 110 range. If they are, we'll walk it. I'll get you a final number on it. And then that'd be it. I mean, if we can't walk up to it and tip it over, then, it's a done deal.
So this is your cell phone number, then?
Yes. Yep.
Give me houses, and I'll see if I can get a hold of him. He may have to talk to the attorney, which would mean I wouldn't call you back till tomorrow.
Okay.
But if you don't hear back from me tonight, I will call you in the morning after he speaks to the attorney.
That sounds great. I'll look out for it. Thank you so much, Shirley. I appreciate you. All right. She called me honey like 50 times. Yeah, there we go, man. That's an opportunity right there. You know, if you guys notice, watch, it's right here that allows us, is this worth putting in our follow-ups or not? Now, watch what kind of happen or what can happen. Let's break this out a little bit, right? So we didn't run any numbers, and so I was able to capture what they think, where is it at? Right here, number 6. So capturing what they think the after repair value is. You know, hey Jamie, what do you think the thing's worth all, you know, fully updated? Oh, maybe around like 240. Now with these agents, a lot of the time, sometimes they'll overshoot that ARV. Yeah, they can get 240. You know, so try and you know, follow up with that question, like realistically, what do you think I'll get? Or like, do you think I can get that worst case scenario? And I tried a little bit about that, but she kept saying like, you got to come see it, do your own homework, whatever. So that's fine, whatever. We ran it off of her 240. Normally we would have asked like, what would it cost to renovate? What is everybody saying it's going to cost to renovate?
All right, guys, welcome. So in this video,
because this property is livable, it's not completely, you know, falling apart. There probably hasn't been any opinions on the renovation. That kid's opinion, I probably wouldn't value because he's going to raise the ceilings, which sounds nuts. So, you know, I just came up with my own. If you didn't have that, then just look at the calculator real quick. Or maybe just ask it if you couldn't do it on a whim and, you know, come up with a guesstimate on that.
What was she asking originally?
What do you mean?
What was the number on the Zillow listing?
159.
Oh, I thought it was 259. Okay, never mind. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 110's not terrible.
No. And we don't even know if that's exact. We'll look into it in a second. But, you know, the biggest thing, we got her numbers. What do you think it's worth fixed up? What's it going to cost to renovate? All right, hold on 1 second. Let me put you on a brief hold. Let me see what where I got to be at. And then what do you guys see? I came back. I dropped the cash price. And it's always their response that allows us to determine worth pursuing or not. You want to make money consistently in this, it's how fast can I determine worth chasing or not. The money's made all in the follow-up. So if you're putting trash in there that shouldn't be chased on, then you're not going to be doing consistent deals. So it starts with this, right? So now her response was a little vanilla. You know, hey, I got to be at like 110, 105. All right, yeah, I mean, just write it up. I don't know if it's worth pursuing or not. That doesn't give me enough. So I asked her, then I followed up with question number 10. Am I wasting my time submitting this? There's other ways to phrase this when somebody's vanilla, right? So, you know, what are the odds that the seller accepts this offer? Do you think you can get this done for me? You know, am I wasting my time? You know, just these questions, different variations of the question will kind of flush out how they feel about it. You know, have they turned down higher offers? If yes, then they're probably not going to take ours, right? If I drop a number on somebody right here on 9, yeah, Jamie, I got to be at 110. Yeah, we turned down offers higher than yours. Dead lead. It's not going in the pipeline. Done. You know, maybe I could try and negotiate a little bit, but that's going to be it. It's not going to turn into a follow-up. And I just saved 20 minutes not having to run the numbers. All I had to do was find something that's a little beat up and then call them. And that's it. So, you know, if they're vanilla, take it a step further. Am I wasting my time submitting this? Do you think you can get it done for me? What do you think the odds are the seller accepts? Try and hone in on that. You know, if it's a good response, obviously we'll wrap the deal up. So she was a little vanilla, asked her a few more questions about how she feels. She thinks it's worth pursuing. So, okay, if you think it's worth pursuing, agent, then I'm going to pursue it. If she don't think it's worth pursuing, like really doesn't, and there's some real reasons behind it, then I'm not pursuing it. It's just going dead. You know, sometimes these agents, like, no, you know, that's not going to work, or that's pretty low. You know, so that doesn't necessarily mean it's dead. I would still try and make something happen. So then you're kind of flowing into an open negotiation. So if Jamie said to me, Eric, 110,000, that's really low. They're probably not going to take that. All right, if Jamie ain't sold on the offer, she's not going to go sell the seller, right? So I got to get her on board, and so I'll try to sell Jamie on the deal. So, well, Jamie, I mean, look, the problem is, if I give you guys that 159 and then I put 45.50 into it, I mean, after it sells at that 240 number, 2 sets of closing cost, holding cost, commission, you know, I end up losing money. I'll be breaking even at that point. I can't make sense of that. Oh, wow, okay. And then we're just in an open negotiation. That's just your skills and ability to be able to negotiate a deal, really. And then obviously it flows into seller finance. So say it's a hard no, they're not going to do it. All right, so it's not going to go in the lead. It's not going to go in the pipeline as a wholesale deal, but maybe we could do creative finance. And so I'm just going to flow right into the next pitch on this first phone call, not the next one. Right now we see there's an opportunity for wholesale. So we're here. We're in this limbo mode for wholesale. But if we get back on the phone with Jamie, no, seller decline, 130 is it. Well, all right, that don't work for cash, but I can give you 130 on seller finance. And then I'm pivoting into that, right? So always pursue wholesale. Like, don't ever throw out multiple options at once. Of course, we got some fucking loser.
Oh yeah. Oh.
My goodness. You know, we switched communities, and I thought we'd lose that guy. I think we probably just gotta delete the Discord.
Made it free, my guy. He's in here for free now. He's never going away.
I'm gonna find him. Now, I think probably what we'll do is unlock it or something like that. Because it's just getting old with that dude. Crazy. Alright, totally lost my train of thought. Where were we?
Never use all the options that you have for getting into the property all at once. You want to have them backed up.
Exactly. So, you know, one, this is, and I'll give you the reasoning behind that. From time to time, I've made this mistake too. But what I realized is if I go seller, I could do 110 cash, or I can go 130 on creative, or I can give you a full ask on creative finance. They're going to believe that somebody could give them that higher number and just pay them off completely. Does that make sense? They're going to have less of a conviction that it's worth 110 because now I'm offering 160 at the same time on terms. So maybe I can still get 160 from an outright buyer, right? So always fight the wholesale to the end. When you officially determine, hey, there is no shot of wholesale deals happening, no way, then I'm pivoting to creative, exhaust all efforts there, no shot on creative, listing program if it's not already listed. So just keep that in mind too. But it's all about, I'm just trying to burn it in your guys' head. It's all about just spotting an opportunity. How fast can you determine it? And if you just follow this script, you'll be able to weigh it out on the initial phone call and avoid having to comp these things out, avoid having to do follow-up calls, because check this out. The way a normal wholesaler flows, how everybody else is doing it, is, all right, I'm going to do a lead. I'm going to call them up, get the info. Okay, great, got the info. I'll call you back, Jamie, with an offer. They go, they spend 20 minutes to come up with the offer. Oh, I called Jamie back, she don't pick up. Called her the next day, she don't pick up. Oh, day 3, 4 days later, finally picks up the phone. Yeah, Jamie, I'm at 110. No, that's way too low. They turn down offers higher. No, there's no shot they're going to take that. I just wasted the everyday wholesaler is wasting so much time, and this is a huge reason why they're not doing consistent deals, because you're taking way too long to spot yes or no, deal or no deal. The money's made in the pipeline, and if clean, real opportunity is not in the pipeline, you got junk in there, you're just spinning your wheels, you're wasting your time, and that is the vast majority people trying to play the game. Improper lead generation and follow-up. All right, so any questions with any of this that we covered so far?
Hey, Eric.
Yeah, what's up, Mark?
You shot like a 40 grand off the top of your head on this house?
Shot a what?
Did you say 40,000 when you were doing the numbers?
Yeah.
After the 40K on this?
Got a 40, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which probably, to be honest, I don't even know if you put that much into it.
On the outside, I'm just curious. I'm looking at it, siding and roof and concrete and driveway. Are you seeing the same thing, or you see something different with the windows even, or kind of?
Driveway, re-gravel it, maybe $400 to do.
Mm-hmm.
The roof's a good catch. I didn't even see that. Let's go back to that. She said, to be honest with you guys, she said, like, did I speak to you before? I'm pretty sure I did negotiate this deal like a couple months ago with this lady, and then it kind of like blew up. So I think that was kind of what's going on here. But from what I remember, I don't believe the roof is leaking on this one at all. Definitely older though, so I think that would definitely have to get replaced. As far as the outside, this metal siding, paint it, spray it. So spray the outside, do the roof. 1,000, a roof like this. Like my dad, he would be the buyer for this, so he would get it done for under 10, I would imagine. So maybe 10 on the roof, maybe a grand in paint on the outside, something like that. If anybody else was doing it, call it maybe 15 on the roof. Call it maybe 3 to paint the house, maybe less, maybe 1,500 to 3 grand. I can get somebody to paint that. Inside on the home, this floor, I think this is like one of the cheapest ones you can get from Home Depot. So if I was doing it, I would imagine I'm probably gonna rip it out, and I'm sure you'll probably find like bubbles or where it's splitting. But probably the floors, rip out. And this is where it kind of gets iffy, these rehab budgets, because some of these guys in the Poconos, they would come in, they'd put freaking 20 grand into this house and then try and sell it for 240. And then you got other guys that are like, no, I'll dump 50, 55 into it. Because what they would do is they'd rip out all of this wood paneling on the walls, re-drywall the thing, probably a new front door, maybe new windows, definitely not pave the driveway, just new stone, new kitchen, kitchen, countertops, appliances, backsplash, probably tile in the kitchen. Yeah, so I would think most people are going to be floating around that 40. So even though somebody could go a lot crazier with I would say the average is going to float between that 30 and 40. And so I wanted to run my numbers off of the 40. Don't ever be conservative, or be conservative, overshoot the updates when you're speaking to these people, because that's going to be the most realistic thing. We really want to avoid, so you know how I just gave her that verbal, hey, we're 105, 110. The last thing I really want to have to do is go back and tell you, hey, my exact number is actually at 85. Because, the closer we could be with our ballpark, the better opportunities we're chasing. So like she gave me a good response today to the 105, but if I wasn't as conservative with some of these things, then then maybe I was a little bit higher, and then my real number is lower, and then it really wouldn't have been a great response from her. Does that make sense? So if you be really conservative, your actual number is not going to differ far from your ballpark number. Does that make sense?
Yes. Did you start at the 240 ARV, by the way, or no?
I started with her 240.
Okay.
And this, I do think there could be a shot we are lower. What I do like, though, is you got some kid that's even lower than us, so there might be a room, for us to get the deal even and maybe a hair lower, but could be a little hit or miss.
And on a side note, Eric, this script, I don't see it in the stuff I have access to. Where are you accessing this script?
Yeah, so this is all in the free school community. If you guys go to the classroom, and then you go to the wholesaling basics, it's in the bottom in the scripts.
I didn't even know how to get to that free community.
Are you not in this?
I'm not. I never been on that portion that you're showing me. I don't know.
I'll put it in the chat.
All right, that's good.
Cool. Anybody else, I guess, have any other questions?
It's cool for the win.
Yeah. Any other questions you guys got? Feeling good? All right, cool. Next thing we'll talk just a little bit on will be pitching creative finance, because I feel like I'm getting asked this all the time. So let's start with this, I guess. So when it comes to creative finance, creative finance is like a blanket term. Anything creative other than a cash deal or me just getting a loan to buy it falls under creative finance. That's the novation, seller finance, sub 2, executories, double close, then get the home, like just all these different things qualifying, they fall under that blanket, creative finance. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is with that, there's a lot to learn in creative finance. And I think this is something a lot of people don't realize. Like, you guys see me making some of these phone calls and you're like, oh, wow, it's somewhat easy. But that's because I understand and can see all 15 different plays to structure the deal up. When you only understand seller finance and then that random variable comes into play, oh, I got this debt or I got this issue, then you kind of blank out and you're like, man, I don't know what I'm doing, right? You knew seller finance, but now this one little thing came into the picture and you don't know how to solve it or even think there's an opportunity, right? So just understand, guys, creative finance, there's so much to it. So my recommendation, the easiest place to start with creative is just the understanding of seller finance and starting to pitch that. Once you get a foundation on seller finance, it's really easy to grow off of that to the sub 2s, to the hybrids, to the novations, because now you're seeing numbers a lot different than a cash transaction. You're understanding ROIs, cash on cash, what's an investor looking for with the cash on cash, what the heck is the cap rate, right? All these different things you're going to learn through the seller finance, which are also needed with these more advanced strategies, if that makes sense. So my advice is to start with the seller finance. Now, I had this guy on my team this morning. This is where all this is really stemming from. And he's like, like I want more help on seller finance. I want to understand it better. I don't know how to sell it like you do, man. Like, how do you sell these deals and explain it? And so what I told him was the way, and this is what I'm telling you guys, when you're dealing with a seller, and let's say it's 100% seller financed, or it's any creative finance deal where the seller has equity. I want to sell my house for $100. I got a $60,000 mortgage. They got 40 in equity, right? So anytime a property has a piece of debt where you think like, all right, debt sub 2, seller finance equity, anytime somebody has equity and you want to do something creative, only speak on terms of seller finance. Even though late in the deal it will break out to be a subject to, you don't need to know anything about that. You don't need to talk on that whatsoever to any of these people. The only time you guys see me explaining a subject to is really to the agents that are doing a short sale. And the reason I'm explaining and talking about a subject to is because the seller has no equity. If that seller had equity, then I would only be talking about seller finance terms. The sub 2 would never come out of my mouth to these people, never. So you only hear me explain sub 2 because they don't have any equity. It's only going to be sub 2, and that is the only time you're going to do that, right? Now, the reason if a seller, they got debt, right? So I want to sell for 100, I got a mortgage of 60, equity of 40. So that we all know, right, it's going to be subject to the debt of 60, seller finance the equity of 40. But these sellers that we're dealing with, most of them, they're not well versed in real estate. They're not financial experts. Neither were we when we first started, and we were like, like hearing about this stuff for the first time. And that's what's going to happen when you speak to some random seller and you subject to, and the loan stays in place, and the this and that. What? Like, you're going to scare them. You're going to spook them. And that is much harder to explain, right? So anytime there is equity, we're only speaking in terms of seller finance. That's why the script is that way, right? Seller cash don't work. I can give you the 100,000 if you're open to seller finance. What's that? Well, it just means we'd agree to pay the 100,000, but we do it in payments. Yeah, I'd be open to that. Right, let me just ask you a few questions, right? So we're never, ever explaining. We'll ask them about the mortgage, but we're not explaining subject to these people. Only seller finance. Now, let me also say this now. This is important to be able to identify what type of deal it really is. Is it a hybrid with sub 2 where we take over the debt and they seller finance equity, or is it an option for only subject to? So here's the thing. If the equity gap is less than 10% or less, then more times than not, there's going to be an opportunity to cash them out of their equity and buy it just subject to. Right, so if, hey, Eric, I want to sell my house for 100,000, but I have a mortgage of 90. So no matter who buys it, they're only going to get 10 grand, right? If I buy your house for 100,000 cash, after you pay off your loan, you're only left with 10, right? So if the equity is small enough, this is the point I'm making. If the equity is small enough to cash them out, then you're only speaking in terms of subject to. If the equity is too big to cash them out and we need seller finance in the mix, then we only talk about seller finance. So if the equity is small enough to pay them out, get them to walk away, then it's only a sub 2. But if the equity, hey, I want to sell for 100, I got 40 in equity, I can't give them 40. That's not going to make sense as a deal, right? That's more than that 10% I just said. So we need seller finance. So I'm only going to speak in seller finance terms. Does this make sense? Any questions with this so far? Arthur, what do you got?
I was just wondering if it's possible, because hearing how you're explaining there's like 15 different strategies, like it's like I think of it like that one tree diagram, like you go left or right. Okay, is there equity? Yes or no? Okay, and then you go like the left box, and like then it's like filled with the information. It's like, okay, do they not have equity? No. Okay, well then you go this way. or is there still is the debt more than what they're selling it for? Are they going to do a short? Like, it would just be cool if there was like one of those little charts. Like, I know there's a lot of information, so it can't be just so cookie cutter or so simplified, but it would be nice if there's like a little chart pattern like that, just to kind of like go, just to have something to work off of.
I could maybe try and create something. That's a good idea. I like that.
Thank you.
This might this might be even an easier way. If the property is valued over 100,000, worth 100,000 and more, in most markets this applies, right? So if they have let's say this, if they have 15,000 in equity or less, then it's always going to be a sub 2. We're always going to seek to cash you out of the equity and buy it subject to the mortgage, right? If they have more than 15,000 in equity, we're always going to bring up seller finance to these people. Does that make sense? I'm going to say it one more time. If they have 15,000 or less, then we speak in subject to terminology. Yes. And if it's 15,000 or more in equity, we only speak in seller finance terminology. Are we all there? And I guess, does anybody else have any other questions on any of this? There's no stupid questions, guys.
Yeah, I was going to tell you about Joe's deal he's got in Kansas. It's kind of like that. So, dude wants 165. He's got 40 in equity, and he was open to seller finance. We pitched him sub 2, but like the terms we pitched him were kind of like, we said that we would pay him 111, so it'd am out 30 years on his 40K equity. He liked that. And then we'd take over his 2.5% interest loan at $789 a month.
That's beautiful.
And yeah, he was down for that.
Free house.
We got that right now. If you want to, if Joe's in the chat, bro, he could plug you up with it.
I want to keep going here, but I'll look at that.
Yeah, definitely. So you see what I'm saying though? Like, it's like a 160. He's got 40. It's almost like exactly what you kind of were talking about.
Now check this out though, too, guys. This brings me to my next point. So with that example, you said the mortgage balance is how much?
125.
Okay. So, the guy's got 40 equity. And so that if he wasn't down, right, he's like, no, I don't want to do seller finance. Right, he's not going to do seller finance on the equity. Then the only creative option would be to cash him out of the equity and then do subject to the debt, right? But the 40 is too much to cash him out of. But remember, we can collapse. If you see my hands, we can collapse that just by negotiating the price. So, hey, you want 165? I can't cash him out of that 40,000 equity. It's too much money. So what I would do is, when you're able to identify the equity gap early, when you're wholesale in that combo still, and you should try and get the equity gap in the wholesale call, when you're negotiating the deal, right? So check this out. Hopefully this all makes sense. Let's say we're dealing with the seller, and let's go simple numbers. Eric, I want to sell for 100,000. I owe 60 on the mortgage. So he's got 40 in equity, right? That's too big for us to cash him out. I say, yo, would you be able to seller finance? No, man, I just got to liquidate. I don't want to do any of that. So the only way the sub 2 would work is if he's got less equity, which we can make that happen by negotiating the deal. The reason I'm telling you to try and get the mortgage balance first, or to do wholesale first too, is because now you know this guy's rock bottom, and so now you know what the smallest equity gap can be. He has it listed for 100. He owes 60, so there's 40 there. But when I negotiated wholesale, he told me he'd take 80 for it. Right? So now it's not 40 in equity. Now it's only 20 in equity. Or he said, Eric, man, I'll take 65 on it. Oh, now there's only 5 in equity. Do you see that? So what you want to work towards is developing those types of eyes, being able to see with that lens of what is the equity gap, and that equity gap will determine how do we go creative. If the equity gap is small, we can cash him out of the equity. There is no seller finance, it's just sub 2. Equity gap is too big, got to do seller finance, right? Take over the debt, seller finance. Any questions with any of this? When you say free house, does the equity amount tip you off to that? I don't know what you mean by that. When I say a free house, guys, what I'm talking about is acquiring it without having to come out of pocket. That's what I'm talking about. If I don't have to come out of pocket, I'm looking at that as a free house. That's the way I see it. That doesn't mean I'm getting it for $0.00. Well, I am out of pocket, but on paper, there's going to be a price tag to it. But, if you're holding these as a rental, what am I coming out of pocket? And if you can strategize properly, then you can run a rental operation and really not having to come out of pocket when things even go south. Stuff breaks, tenant stops paying. If you got the right strategy, you'll still not be out of pocket. So that's really what I'm talking about when I say free homes. Just acquire them and not have to pay a penny to get them. All right, guys, let's do this then. Any questions? If not, we'll swing to deals. I got a good 10 minutes here. It could be any question, any general question, if you guys have any. I'm feeling good.
I was going to say about Joe's deal.
Let's look at it. I'll help you out. You want to throw it in the chat?
Yeah, it's 625 Atchison.
Joe, you want to plug him up with
Jason's
number? Yeah.
So they're right in the. I'll pull it quick. It's underneath.
Yeah, let me say this too, since we're talking on creative finance. If this was a short sale, this would be an awesome opportunity, right? I mean, great home, nothing wrong with it. The problem is when you try and get free homes, no down payments on nice homes, they want skin in the game. A lot of these people, so what I love most of my portfolio is it's rough, man. It's not it doesn't look like this. And that's why I'm able to get such great deals. I'm able to justify, hey, I can't do a down payment because it needs $40,000 in renovations. It needs a ton of updates, man. I can't make sense of a down payment. That renovation, that'll be my skin in the game, right? So a lot of the times I'm able to justify that no down payment because the house needs work. But for somebody to give you a house with no down payment that's in great shape, I mean, they either have to be desperate or a little crazy. Because if I'm not hurting for money, there's no way I'm letting Joe move into my house, some random guy I don't know. And, my house is perfect. I'd be thinking like, dude, this guy's going to wreck my home. He needs to put some money up. So, keep that in mind. That's kind of what's going on with a lot of these. So what's the story on this, Joe?
I walked it on Monday, met him up there, and pretty much the guy who's selling it, he's a sergeant in the Army, and he wants $43K equity up front. And the agent's commission has to get paid, of course, but he wasn't, I guess, he wanted to do the subject too. He wants it clear and free from his name, but he just wants the equity up front, and I'm feeling we can cash him out on that equity. I don't know if I can keep it as a rental or I might just take a fee on it depending if that price goes down, but he has somebody else checking it out, I think tomorrow or something, but
okay.
I've been in contact with Jason about this. So.
How much does he owe on it?
125.
Ooh, I like this. So we just got to collapse that gap. What's the least he would sell it for? Purchase price.
I didn't negotiate that.
He might go down to 125.
Yeah, he's got no equity, man. He's got 40 again. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we just got to close that gap. I'd try and go in and try and make an offer maybe at like 140. See if he would take that. If he takes 140 sub 2, that's a free house.
He took our terms at first. So he was down with that structure of the 789 to the 2.5% mortgage, sub to that, and then seller finance his equity at $111 a month.
But 100%, like all of his equity is going to seller finance, no down?
Yeah, so he was going to 30-year AM, the 40K equity, it came out to 111, and then us take over his 2.5% mortgage.
No down payment whatsoever?
Yeah, he was cool with no down payment at first, and then we started like we walked it and everything, bro, and then he wanted to secure his sub 2. So he was like, so I told him like, look, we'll put it in the contract clause that there's going to be no breach because the payment's going to go to you 72 hours before the mortgage payment's due, and we're going to have escrow drop in if there's any delay in the payment to you. And with that breach, you'll repossess the house with an extra payment in escrow. And he was cool with that.
All right, so where you at now then?
And then he comes back and then he talks to, dude. So this guy is an Army staff sergeant in the Army. He's like an E6, right? And bro was just like, I was talking to him and I said, you want it like bulletproof, right? Like bulletproof is what I said. He said, yeah, bulletproof. Sounds good. Like a bulletproof contract. You know, it just has to make a perfect logical argument. And it was, and that's what the whole contract is. And I guess he says that he wants the 40-something of equity now.
He wants all the equity out.
Yeah. But he's still cool with the sub too.
It's a VA assumption though, yeah.
So what I would tell just go back, be like, look, man, I can't do that. There's no way. You know, and I think 165 is even a little overpriced, if I'm being honest. I'd buy it for 140, cash you out completely out of the equity. I'd take over the loan, and you could just walk away and be done. That's what I would do.
Okay.
Just take over the loan.
Yeah, look, man, I believe 165 is like really pushing it. That's why we can't do a down payment. I think I'm overpaying, which isn't a problem. But I can't do anything down at that price. You know, if you want to be done and just cashed out, I'll buy it for 140, cash you out of the equity, and you walk away. That's exactly what I would say.
And then still plug them up with about 20-ish in cash. If we go to 140,
that's
145. 15. Yeah, he's got, and then he wanted 3 points, which comes out to like, you know, 4.
Well, no, this is a totally different deal. He doesn't get anything. You're walking away. I'm cashing you out. You follow me?
Yeah. So you buy the house subject to.
I'm gonna buy it for 140 on paper.
Yeah.
15,000 to the seller. That clears his equity. Then it's just the debt. So hell, I'll buy it for 140. I'll cash you completely out of the equity, so there is zero seller finance, and I'll just take over the loan. That's it.
Sweet.
And play into the 165's over market value to justify the 140. I can only do the high 165 if we do that first deal. Seller finance, no down payment. Now, what you could offer them too, though, is to make it both these offers interesting to them. You can go 165, 5,000 down, seller finance the equity, or 140, cash you out of the equity, just sub 2. I'll say that again. So 165, 5 down with your current deal. He holds paper on remaining equity. Or 140, cash you out of the equity, sub 2.
Okay, thank you.
I dropped Jason's number in there if you want to hit him up.
Yeah, let's do it. Why not? This is the owner?
The realtor. The agent. I actually met with the dad of the son when I walked the property. He was just randomly pulled up, and Jason, I guess that's his phone number.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hello, this is Jason Brown from Road Program, Victory Real Estate.
He texted me saying he's on another line on a call with the client. Try him again, though. Could be just like one of those automated texts. I'll just text him back. Hey, call me back when you can. All right, we'll do this, guys. I'll take a few final questions. Joe, if he calls me while we're still on here, I'll take it. I got you.
Thank you.
Or if he calls me back even off here, I got you.
Sure.
Sweet. Anybody, I guess, have any Any general questions? Anything at all?
I got a question. It's not about houses though.
Yeah.
So I've got a group of buyers that have reached out to me to find some self-storage roll-ups for them to buy, and I used to do commercial bird dogging back in the day for my uncle, but I haven't done any commercial stuff in a while. The way that I'm thinking to look for stuff like this is, I guess, look at tax rolls or something like that. I mean, how would you go about that, Eric?
But you're trying to find what now exactly, though?
Self-storage assets? Yeah.
Class D commercial.
What do you say, Mike?
Oh, I was saying Class D commercial. Like, he's trying to find self-storage units, bro.
Yeah. Best place to go find those. I've never really went after those specifically. I would first see if you could find them off of data. I think that'd probably be maybe my first go-to. And then I would also maybe go to like LoopNet. You could probably find some of those over there too.
Yeah, I was looking on LoopNet. I was trying to figure out how I would find the ones that are off market. You know what I mean?
Let me see if I can pull something. Hold on one sec. I don't know if AutoLeads is going to have this type of data. Let me see. What I would do too is like whatever market you're interested in scooping those up in, I would just contact like a broker and be like, hey, could you filter for these types of properties on the MLS and then email me, like set up an automation for emails for anything new that hits the market with self-storage. And that's probably like, that would be my first step, I think. Try to find something like that. I'm on here now though. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
It used to go for 33 a square foot. New build, Class D, commercial. You're trying to
33?
Yeah, that's what it used to go for. Just like 6 months ago or less.
Okay.
And that's in I'm in Mass, so that's a Boston market. I don't know what it's going for in Florida.
That's in Boston, okay.
Probably cheaper.
They're in a couple of states. Unfortunately, we both had a previous business partner in common, and so that's how we ended up talking and hating the business partner. But we formed a little bit of a bond, and I was like, "Look, man," I was like, "I need to make some big money quickly." I was like, "So I can pay off these lawyers and get rid of this guy." And he was like, "Well," he said, "why don't you find me some storage deals?" He was like, "We'll purchase them." He said, "Pretty quickly." I was like, "All right." So,
yeah. Kyle, my goes to just real quick. My head's going to like Facebook groups, self-storage groups where they're posting those types of deals.
I'm on those. I need to find them before they go to the wholesaler. So,
yeah, and then I would probably too, like I said, I'd definitely get in contact with some brokers and get on their email list for those. That should definitely start producing some opportunity.
I'll do that.
Only reason I know is because I worked out with a dude. He's like an investment banker. He was doing self-storage for a while. He was paying 5% to build it, and that was pricey for him. He stopped once it went up to 6%. He stopped building them.
So what these guys are doing mainly is they're going to these, mom and pop facilities or whatever, and they're usually cutting a deal to the property next to them, and then they're buying the mom and pop facility as well. And then they're building out, and sometimes if the location is already built out and they don't need to acquire any more land, then they'll ask the owner if they'll carry the note, and they've got about, I think, 80 locations now across the U.S. So done pretty good. He was telling me yesterday. He said that there's coming up on a couple $100 million at this point, and cash flow per year. I'm like, that's crazy, because I knew him from when he first started.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey
The
guys,
vertical ones.
just to help you on the commercial side, there are 3 main platforms for the commercial side. You have
what about like
Prospect,
CRX or whatever?
Prospect
CRI?
Now. Prospect Now, Reonomy, and Praxis.
Praxis, yeah.
is realtor market, home market properties, but it's a little bit more professional than the MLS or LoopNet. It's a competition for LoopNet. Prospect Now and Reonomy will be for off-market commercial property data.
Got it. Okay.
Appreciate it.
I'll check those out. Thank you.
Cool. All right, guys. We will wrap it up at that. I was just going to throw out to you guys. We are still hiring. We're always going to be hiring for our acquisition team, but we're looking to hire again for our disposition team. That's hourly pay plus commission. So if any of you guys are interested in either of those positions, I just dropped the link in the chat for you guys. That's just the application for the acquisition. Ryan's not here. He's the one that has the link for Dispo. But if you guys are interested in Dispo, just put that in one of those spots there. It's basically the same application. And yeah, we'd be happy to have you guys on the team if anybody's interested in that. We'll wrap it at that. You guys got Zoom with Terrell tomorrow, I think at 11 a.m. And then I'll be back with you guys next week.
Eric, is that both sides of the team, acquisitions and disposition?
Yeah, it's that application's just for the acquisitions. If you're interested in Dispo, just put like I'm interested in Dispo, and I'll see it. And then somebody from my team will reach out to you guys.
Gotcha.
Cool. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll catch up with you guys next week.
Thanks, Eric. Have a good day.
For sure. See you guys.